Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. You know that I love stories about black people doing amazing things, and I want to give a quick shout out to a couple of brothers that are just doing something that's really special. On naturallymoi.com, there's an article about a company called Trap Kitchen LA, which is a catering service that's run by two rival gang members, actually, former rival gang members from Compton, Malachi Jenkins and Roberto Smith. Roberto was a member of the Bloods. Malachi was a member of the Crips. Well, apparently, they're still cooking in the kitchen, but ain't nobody cooking crack. They're actually cooking good food that is serving the community. Everybody's so proud of them, and the company's doing really well. They're making money, and they aren't just making money, they're actually giving back to the community and hiring a lot of brothers who are in similar challenging situations. Maybe former gang members, maybe brothers who used to do things that they didn't want to do but had to do, or felt that they had to do in order to get what they needed. Now, the reason I think that this story is very important is because we have an entire generation of young black men who have been hammered. I mean, hammered by the criminal justice system. Millions of black men have had their livelihoods, their lives destroyed, families have been destroyed. They've been permanently marginalized from the economic system in America, all because mainly white folks in power, decided in the early 70s and the 80s that we were going to take the jobs out of the black community, we're going to take the education out of the black community, and we're going to replace that with a whole bunch of drugs and a whole bunch of guns. Black people don't make drugs in the hood. We don't make cocaine. We don't grow coca leaves. Black people don't make AK-47s and Smith and Wessons in the hood. White people make those things. Now, I'm not saying this is all white people, but this is not coming from our community. But yet, it's affected our community quite deeply, and it's created quite a conundrum because what's happened is literally millions of young black men who were meant to be intellectual warriors, who were meant to be soldiers in the battle for racial empowerment and equality, have been distracted. They've been distracted into thinking that they were meant to be killers, gangsters, thugs, whatever, dope dealers. Many of them have had their lives stolen from the criminal justice system, put them in a penitentiary. In any country that is heartless enough to take young teenagers and put them in prison for 40 years for relatively minor crimes like drug possession, is a country that hates you. That's just a country that literally is hell bent on your extermination. They see you as roaches, and their system is the roach spray. Um, and when you look at what happened with Compton, which was kind of ground zero for what happened with the war on drugs, I don't know why they picked on South Central LA first, but that's where it all started. You just see a whole generation of not just people that were hit by the system in terms of maybe being addicted to the drugs, getting incarcerated over the drugs, getting killed over the drugs, being traumatized, watching their families get ripped apart over the drugs. You just see how deeply embedded this epidemic is for the black community. And I had a conversation with Michelle Alexander, who wrote the new Jim Crow, not too long ago. Michelle and I, we talk every few months. We're not the best of friends, but we know each other. We work with the same people. And I asked her, I said, I think that reparations should be paid for the war on drugs, not just for slavery and Jim Crow. And she said, absolutely, I agree entirely. So when you hear these politicians that don't want to talk about the damage that's been done to black families, you need to tell them to go to hell, because these men who were not able to recover from what was done to them. These men were meant to be the husbands, fathers, and leaders of our community. They literally exterminated them. They annihilated them. They destroyed the black family in this way. So the way I look at this is twofold. One, I'm not really trying to hear white folks talk to me about anything if you're not really trying to talk about reparations and doing right by what was done to us in the past. I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't care. I'm not going to forgive you. I'm not going to hold your hand at a Martin Luther King dinner and saying we shall overcome. I'm not doing that because too many of our people have been slaughtered in this thing that you created. I mean, just this idea that you have all these young black men who just feel like they were supposed to be marginalized, who really, in many cases, gave up This all happened because of a system you created. This was social engineering. So that's the first thing. So I don't want to hear from Hillary Clinton. I don't want to hear from Bernie Sanders. I sure as hell don't want to hear from Donald Trump until any of these politicians come talking about repairing the damage. If you can't do that, then we have nothing to talk about. Number two, for black men, you need to pay attention to Trap Kitchen LA for a couple of reasons. Number one, this is a template for what must become our future. You're not going to get ahead by begging white folks to give you a job. They're not going to do it. And if they give you a job, they're going to give you the worst job. They're going to give you the job that the illegal immigrants won't take. They're going to treat you worse than the worst piece of crap ever because they know you have no power to fight back. In order for black men to be empowered, we need one simple thing. Every black boy in America, every single black boy in this country must learn the fundamentals of starting his own business. Why? So that he can do what these brothers are doing. Start your own business and hire your homeboys who have been marginalized just like you. Black men must gain the ability to create their own economic systems because black men are not invited into the white man's house. We're not. We get to look. We every now and then we'll get a couple crumbs. We'll get a little job here and there, whatever. But they treat you like you are just lower than scum. That you are less than an animal. And that's not the way a man is supposed to live his life. A man is not supposed to live his life being treated that way. And the only way you can reclaim your manhood is by learning how to build your own. You got to build your own. So the same way these brothers figured out, we know how to cook. We're not meant to be thugs and killers. Of course you're not. Nobody's born to be a thug and a killer or a gangster or a drug dealer. That stuff was created for you by somebody else who wanted you to believe that that's who you were so you wouldn't be competing with him. If I got you in prison or I got you distracted or I got you out here thugging, then you're not going to compete with me to go to Harvard and Yale or to build a big company or whatever to compete with me in a global economic system because you're so busy trying to survive and keep from drowning that you never learn how to swim. You'll never compete in the swim competition because you're trying to keep from drowning. Black men have to build our own and we have to hire and support our own. What these brothers are doing, they said, we got a talent, we can cook food. We can sell this food for money. It's a very, very basic idea. Once they're selling their food for money, the neighborhood comes together and supports them. You have men like Kendrick Lamar and the Roots and others who understand the importance of buying black. So they're supporting these brothers, providing a customer base, which therefore allows their business to grow, which then gives them the ability to do what? To multiply and hire other people in the similar situation as they were. That's power. Nobody can come into their restaurant, into their situation, and call the shots because they call the shots. That's how you build a kingdom. That's how black men reclaim their power. That is what all of us must do. That was my story as well because I was also marginalized when I was teaching at Syracuse University and they wanted to treat me like a nigga every day of the week even though I had worked hard. And I had a PhD. Everybody goes through it. They treat your president like a nigga. So let's stop being stupid about this. Let's think about how we raise our sons, how we raise our children, teach them the things they need to know so they can succeed. That's what black people have to do. I'm very, very proud of these men. When I go to LA, I'm definitely going in the Trap Kitchen. I'm definitely going to eat there, and I support you with everything I got. So I wish you guys the very best, and I want everybody to look up Trap Kitchen LA. The names of these brothers are Malachi Jenkins and Roberto Smith. These are the founders. As far as I'm concerned, you're every bit as great as George Washington and any other white man they put on our wall and tell us to idolize and all that other nonsense. All right, everybody, I'm about to get out of here. By the way, we are on the Economic Empowerment Tour. I hope you'll support it. You can learn more at thedrboycewatkinstour.com. That's thedrboycewatkinstour.com. We're doing a lot of cities, including LA, actually. Next, we're doing Louisville on March 12th and Chicago on March 26th and Baltimore on April 28th. But Houston's actually on deck. So we're actually talking to Houston. That's why Houston came to mind. In LA, we're doing a lot of stuff in LA. So check it out. And also, the Black Wealth Boot Camp begins in a couple of days. So feel free to check that out too. You can go to theblackwealthbootcamp.com. That's theblackwealthbootcamp.com. So stay strong, keep it moving, and don't ever give up on yourself, and don't ever let anybody dictate what your future is supposed to be. You decide what your future is going to be. That's it. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.